This week on HomeKit News, the SwitchBot Standing Circulator Fan. Welcome back everybody. Today we're looking at a new device and one in a category that's useful to me due to the subtropical climate I live in. This is SwitchBot's new Standing Circulator Fan. Now this is compatible with Amazon A, Google, Siri Shortcuts, IFTTT and SmartThings. You might notice that neither Apple Home nor Matter are mentioned, although it will work with both, but in a very rudimentary way via one of the company's hubs, which I'll look at more closely later on. For now though, let's see what's in the box. So the fan comes broken down into sections, so you have the section that connects to the stand, which is in turn part of the main head section in brown and white. The stem comes in two additional sections, neither of which you have to use if you want to use this as a table fan, for example. There's a manual and some other paperwork, and you also get a small puck-like remote with all the basic controls on it, which uses a solitary CR2032 battery. There's a power cable for the fan, of course, although this does also contain a battery. And finally, the base of the fan, which is more than just a base, as we'll see next. So we've got the base for the fan, and this is what transmits power and instructions to the fan via these three sets of pins, along with a thread to screw the stems into place. Each of the extension sections contain a connector inside with corresponding pins on the other end. These sections simply screw together like so and are fitted to the base, with the fan section connecting to the extensions in the same manner. Due to this, the fan can be set to three different heights, as shown here, with the shortest being just 18.6 inches and the tallest at 39 1/3 inches. On the actual base there's a small display along with an IR receiver and small speaker. We'll look at that more closely in a bit. Around the back there's a standard power socket for the included cable, a physical on-off toggle switch, and lastly there's a USB-C port. Now this allows you to power the fan with something like a suitable power bank, for example. When the fan is on, there's a battery icon which flashes when the battery is charging. In this case, the number here indicates the fan speed, and to the side you can see icons for the vertical and horizontal oscillation when they're active. The power button stops the fan, of course, but it doesn't disconnect it from power. The mode button allows you to cycle through three different modes, whilst the last button allows you to cycle through one of 9 fan speeds. This button controls horizontal oscillation, with the next button controlling the vertical. This last button has two functions, so a simple tap controls the built-in lamp, which we'll see later, whilst a long press triggers the countdown timer option. The mode button allows you to cycle through natural mode, whereby the fan speed will ebb and flow like a breeze might do. Night mode sets the fan to a very low quiet speed, and baby mode, which goes even lower apparently, with just 22 dB of noise. The fan speeds in regular mode can be activated by this last button, going from 1 being the lowest right up to 9 the highest speed. Pressing and holding the dual function button makes the number on the display flash, with subsequent presses allowing you to set the delay timer for the fan with numbers based on hours all the way up to 9. Initial setup needs to be done via the SwitchBot app, and if you want it in Apple Home or any other ecosystem, you do need one of their hubs. The fan should be discovered automatically, whereby I can select it and begin adding it to a room and naming it, all very straightforward. At this point it's using Bluetooth directly with your phone and the app, so to add it to Apple Home via Matter, I'm going to add it to my SwitchBot Hub 3 as a secondary device to then expose it to Matter. So hopping over to Apple Home, and you can see I've already got this fan set up. Unfortunately, the Matter integration is bare bones, so it essentially acts as an on-off device, which is a real shame. If you go into the settings page, you can see I can set it to a fan, a light or a power socket, so there's no fan speed or mode selection. Still, if you tend to have the fan in one mode or set to one speed, turning it on or off might well be enough. Because I've added it to my SwitchBot Hub 3, I can now get access to all the fan's options. I've set up all 4 buttons on the hub, with this first one being my AC, the other being a SwitchBot lamp, the third one a scene, and the last one allowing me quick access to the fan. Tapping on it brings up all the options hidden behind major sections like wind speed, vertical oscillation, horizontal oscillation, and the built-in mood lamp. If I press the lamp button, you can see three options: night light on, night light dim, and night light off, all selectable via the scroll wheel. Here's the lamp at its brightest in a dark room, whilst the dim setting is a little less bright, and off is off, of course. Horizontal oscillation has three options plus off, so you can see the fan rotating here. I did find the fan didn't seem to go left or right equally for some reason though. I can activate these three options via the button in the middle of the dial, like so. Vertical oscillation is much the same in terms of options, and here's the fan in that mode. For some reason 90 degrees swing didn't work either, not sure why. The fan speed button is a bit different, as it also offers up the fan modes mentioned earlier, natural, sleep and baby mode, alongside the 9 different regular fan speeds. Turning the fan on or off is via the dedicated buttons at the side. So there's a large lack of control for the fan in Apple Home, but if you're okay with voice control, then Siri Shortcuts is probably of some use to you. In the SwitchBot app, you create a scene, so in this case I'm going to select Smart Devices, then select the fan. From here you get almost all the same options you saw earlier, so you can set the fan to oscillate in either horizontal or the vertical plane, and even set the amount of oscillation. You can select from the normal fan or the special modes, and when it comes to the normal fan mode, you can set a specific speed, not just the 9 preset speeds offered. You can of course control the night light too, so I'll just select that for this example. Once saved, I can select more ways to trigger and choose Siri Shortcuts, which allows me to create a spoken phrase in order to trigger the scene created by Siri. If, like me, you use the company's universal remote, and yes, I use it every day, you can control the fan in exactly the same way as the Hub 3 offers. All the options are laid out in exactly the same format as was seen on the Hub's display, so it should be easy enough to navigate. As this has a built-in battery, you can use it almost anywhere, and even without mains power, the device still shows us online in Apple Home, which is great. So as you can see, I'm able to turn the fan on and off via Apple Home, even on battery power. There aren't many standing fans compatible with Apple Home, but I do have another in the form of the Smartmi Standing Fan, which I've been using for around maybe 3 years now. This is indeed Apple HomeKit compatible, but it's not a Matter device. Like the SwitchBot fan, this comes with a remote, although this uses Bluetooth, not infrared, which is what the included SwitchBot remote uses. Also, like the SwitchBot fan, the Smartmi comes with a battery built in and uses a MagSafe light connector for the power supply, which is pretty cool. The fan speed, connection status and mode are all displayed on the stem, which is easier to see than the display on the SwitchBot model, to be honest. It offers vertical and horizontal oscillation too, and can be set with a single degree precision, but only via the Smartmi app. The physical controls are on the back of the fan, so they're easier to reach, as long as you can get to the back without issues, of course. Now, this has been my daily driver for the master bedroom, mostly because the basic controls are available in Apple Home, not just on and off. There's a slider to control the fan speed, which is very useful, and in the settings section you can access that slider again, as well as access the child lock, which the SwitchBot fan didn't seem to have. However, the Smartmi app is not Siri Shortcuts compatible, and there's a serious lack of automation options in the Smartmi app, which the SwitchBot app has in tons. The Smartmi fan is also notoriously hard to find and almost impossible to track down in North America. Onto the pros and cons now, starting with the subject I just mentioned, which is that it's good to see another smart standing fan option on the market, so I'm glad this is available regardless. The built-in battery makes this a lot more mobile than a regular fan, so that's also a plus, and with the option to set the height depending on how you use it, is another great design decision. Even though the control in Apple Home is very limited, you do still have multiple options for controlling the fan, especially via the company's Hub 3 or the Universal Remote, not to mention Siri. In terms of build quality, I'd say it's just okay, especially compared to my Smartmi fan, which feels very well made. But the price reflects that, so a budget fan for under $130 or under £100 or euros is not bad. The only major con is the lack of decent Matter integration, and after speaking to a SwitchBot representative, it seems there are no plans to expand Matter control beyond on-off for this particular model, which is a real shame. So that's our look at the SwitchBot Standing Circulator Fan. Is the lack of proper Matter integration a deal breaker, or are things like Siri Shortcuts and hub control enough? Let me know in the comments section below, and remember, if you've got any questions on this or any of my other videos, ask away and I'll always reply. In the meantime, if you enjoyed this video, show some love by giving it a like, share if you can, and do subscribe if you haven't done so already. It just remains for me to leave you with a quote, supposedly from Nikita Khrushchev.